So here we are, and we've had some time to see how we are, to really, be in touch with the way it is right now. And, the purpose really of our meditation practice is to enable us to develop stillness, to develop focus, to be able to experience peace, relaxation, well-being, and to investigate Dhamma. And, it can be easeful for us. It can be easy to make the most of our time, our meditation time, and really feel that we're able to apply attention in a good way, in a wholesome way, and to begin to investigate the Dharma very deeply. On the other hand, sometimes it can be really difficult to meditate. We can feel, that it's very hard to maintain any kind of degree of focus. And indeed, we can notice that the mind is running around here and there, all sorts of thoughts, all sorts of feelings bubbling up for us. We can feel, somewhat distracted, and we can forget about our meditation, or the fact that we are meditating, or there is such a thing as meditation, for, swathes of time during the sitting. And this is all practice, isn't it? And this is all very helpful because we get to assess the situation. We get to see what's going on here. What is the nature of this mind? How does it operate? What is perception? How is it functioning? What is the state of mind here? And without sitting and making time and putting in the effort to develop mindfulness in this way, to try to develop samadhi in this way, we wouldn't have a clue what was going on, really, because we're programmed, aren't we? We're conditioned to kind of roll with samsara, to move from this to that and then to the next thing. And there's really not a lot of space often, is there, in our lives between events or between dhammas, between experiences. We go from one to the next, to the next, to the next. And the amazing, actually, and beautiful thing about meditation is that we're stopping. We're attempting to stop. We're actually making some space here, aren't we? And giving the mind a chance to kind of unravel, to kind of reveal itself as it deconditions. And all we really have to do to enable this process is to stop reacting, to stop doing, to stop receiving information through the sense doors, just to be willing, isn't it? To be willing to renounce the world, be willing to let go of all those compelling, fascinating, really kind of all the momentum of our lives, and to make this precious, this very sacred time. And then we get to begin to get to appreciate what is it we're actually dealing with here? What is the situation? And we start to come to kind of fundamental understanding, don't we, of there's a body here, there's a body, there's form, there are feelings, pleasant, unpleasant, neutral. There is mind, there is volition, there's thinking, there's perceptions, there's ideas, and certain ways we understand the world. We kind of label and pigeonhole and, have our take on reality. We can see all of this. We can see how we're programmed. We can see how we're conditioned. And we can see the consciousness that is receiving all the information from the outside world and weaving it together, knitting it together to create a sense of continuity, a sense of somebody, a sense of past and future, me and mine. And all of this we can begin to observe, begin to witness. It's wonderful, isn't it? The Buddha said the mind is like a cloth. It's actually, for most of the time, this cloth that is the mind is it's stained, isn't it? The Buddha said in the Watupama Sutta, beautiful teaching in Majjhima Nikaya, number 7, the simile of the cloth. The Buddha said this mind is like a cloth that is stained with different colors, blotches and splotches, and in some way it's dirty, you know, it's not consistent, it's not white, it's not pure, it's not clean. And when we practice meditation, we're having a good look at it. We're having a good look at this cloth, and we're beginning to discern how is it? How does it really look? What's going on? What colors are there here? What kind of stains might there be? And we're washing the cloth. We're washing it clean. We're actually not doing anything particularly. We're simply allowing the natural process of purification to take place, because we're willing to stop, to let go of the world. When we do this, when we stop, you know, running on the rat race, running in the world, when we stop creating and doing and making and compelling ourselves in different ways, when the momentum slows down, we can start to appreciate, we can observe. Through our meditation, we can actually see this cleaning process going on. Because what does the mind do? It will focus on the stains. The mind wants to be clean in some sense. The chitta is clean in some sense. So the stains, the blotches and splotches that sully the cloth, are what come to our attention. And all we have to do is observe and see what is the suffering here. What is the issue here? What is not completely at peace? Where is there some energy that's playing out? Something unresolved, something uncomfortable. And the Buddha said in this sutta, the simile of the cloth, he said there are different ways in which we can examine the mind. We can observe different issues, different kilesa, different defilements that actually are the stains that are sullying this cloth. And we can, you know, simply note and observe them and see where the mind is angry, where there's anger, where there's hatred, where there's aversion, where there's greed, wanting, where there's holding, you know, a kind of covetousness of wanting to hold on to mind states or objects or whatever it may be, holding tight. We can see conceit and vanity. We can see obstinacy, aggression. You know, the Buddha lists in this sutta, the simile of the cloth sutta, he actually lists the 16 upakilesa. And it's beautiful to actually consider, do I know these? Do I experience these? Are these playing out for me now? Are these causing my restlessness? Are these the reason why I can't focus? And, you know, if we examine carefully and look at the mind, we can label in this way, we can see that the reason mindfulness is not constantly peacefully and skillfully present for us in every moment is because something else will be there. Something will be, in a way, obscuring that peacefulness and clarity. That is staining the cloth. You know, some color, some discoloration will be there. And it's a very helpful thing to consider in this way the reasons why the mind is agitated, is restless, when that is the case. And what's really important about this is to recognize that in this teaching, as in all the teachings of the Buddha, this is not about me and my problems. This is not about me and how awful I am. This is not about self-hatred, self-loathing, shame, or humiliation. It's about Dhamma. Dhamma, you know, this is how it is. These human hearts are tainted until they're not, until the suffering, the imperfections are seen, are witnessed, understood. Then the human heart is like a stained cloth. It's not like my stained cloth. This particular egg yolk stain on the cloth is not mine. It's just an egg yolk stain. It's just a tinge of jealousy. There's a tinge of jealousy that comes up from time to time. Okay, let me have a look at this. This is interesting. Let's see how long this lasts. Under scrutiny, how does it feel? How does it feel when I have these jealous thoughts? What's happening in the body? Can I observe the breath and just see how the system is kind of wired for this emotion and how this emotion arises due to certain causes and conditions? When I see somebody getting something that I would like, when I see somebody getting praise that I would like, and I'm feeling a lack, this feeling might come up. And what's it like and how is it? And through this kind of investigation, we can really notice, can't we, that these kilesa, these impurities in the mind, are actually in some way appeased. In some way they are helped. They are healed through attention, wise attention, and kind attention. You know, we can definitely benefit ourselves, this practice and the process of it, the ability to move through difficult mind states when we bring in kindness, bring in loving kindness, bring in compassion. Because just like a friend, a good friend, suffering under some difficult mind state, angry or upset in some way, how would we want to respond to them? We would have sympathy, we would have empathy, we would want them to be well. We would wish them a quick resolution of this difficulty. In the same way, when we're assailed by some kind of afflictive emotion, unwholesome mind states come up, then we can really consider in this way, this isn't me, this isn't mine, this is a painful, this is a very distressed state that is present now. And compassion, loving kindness quite automatically start to be generated. It's a natural response, actually, isn't it, to suffering? So we can tune into that and we can respond just as we would for anybody else who's suffering. Let this one also receive the kindness and consideration and respect that we accord others. And slowly but surely, when we work with these defilements, all these different painful mind states in our practice, this is one way of relating to our practice. When there's distraction, when there are defilements, when the hindrances are up, we can consider what is actually going on, what is the nature of this affliction. And we might, in this process, remember certain things. We might have some sense of past misdeeds. Some sense of remorse may come up. There may be a sense actually of powerful sense of injustice, or a kind of righteous indignation may come up. We may feel wronged. We've been wronged. And this can be a very difficult sometimes to let go of. A sense of injustice, a sense of things not being in the right place in a way, you know. But we don't really want to rearrange, you know, the deck chairs on the Titanic endlessly, even though, you know, they should be reorganized. You know, things shouldn't be in a mess. It's true, but the ship is sinking, and it's really important to be aware of that and to make that the object of our attention at all times, actually. It's like the climate situation. We're in a climate emergency. Who knows what's going to happen? Time is short. Time is short. Life is unpredictable. It's good to try and help situations when we can, but first, most importantly, we need to know what's going on. We need to understand what's happening here, and we need to deal with this. We need to make peace. So this is our most important work, you know, and everything else will flow from this place of mindfulness, this place of wise attention, this place of skillful use of time, skillful use of energy, to pay attention here and to notice the kilesa, to see anger, fear, anxiety, dread, you know, distress, not to react, not to operate when these emotions are up for us, but to actually give them the attention that they're seeking, give them the attention that they need. And in this way, we're, you know, really attending to the Buddha's first noble truth, the noble truth of dukkha, that this world is not ideal. It never will be. And this heart, this mind, may not be ideal at this moment. There may be some obstruction. There may be some kilesa. There may be some hindrance. This is dukkha. This is to be attended to. And so we wash the cloth. We allow the cloth to be washed. Give the sense, let ourselves understand that this is what's happening. Understanding that when we stop and we practice and we make time for mindfulness to develop, this is what's happening. We're cleaning up. We're cleaning up the mess, you know. And let's clean up the mess here, and then we can devote our time and energy to whatever needs to be done in the world. But first and always to keep checking in and cleaning up the mess here, because only from a place of cleanliness, a well-laundered cloth, is the only one that can clean up a mess out there, you know? There's no point trying to clean up a mess with a dirty cloth, really. You might even make things more dirty. So to be able to know when we need to stop and attend to the situation right here. And this is the one place, isn't it, where we have agency, where we actually can make a difference. And so I think it really behooves us to give as much time for practice as we can, to really consider in a way, the stains of the world, you know. What are the stains of this world? What are the defilements in the world? Greed, hatred, conceit, obstinacy, jealousy, envy, and so forth. Look at Sutta number 7 in Majjhima. Check out the list of 16 upakilesas and consider them. And we can consider that, you know, all the issues, all the problems can really be defined in this simple way. There's just this much. There's this much dirt and pain and defilement in the world. So, okay, let's see what pieces are here. How much can I find? How much can I discern in this human heart? How much can I observe here? And through observing and facing and being willing to be with difficulty, obscuration, discomfort, we can clean up this much. And this is something so precious and so valuable. This is the best use of our time. The Buddha said it's a bit like, in the same sutta, he said it's like taking a piece of gold, you know, and putting it in a crucible. And it burns, you know, it burns. To get refined, we have to burn it. We have to turn up the heat, you know. And this is just how it is with our practice, actually. My sense of situation in the world, probably always, but certainly at this point in time, is that it's a real spur, a real encouragement, a real compelling opportunity for us to develop a sense of urgency, to turn up the heat on our practice. As the heat goes up on the planet, you know, we can turn up the heat in our practice. And the Buddha said we could consider our situation to be just like a person whose house is on fire. Not only that, but their hair is on fire and they're in the house. What do you want to do? Get out as quickly as possible and put out the fire. Put out the fire. This is an urgent matter. It's an urgent matter for us. And what fire can we really skillfully attend to? Well, as I say, it's the one here. It's the heat here. And when the cloth gets cleaned, when the gold gets refined, then you can take the gold out of the furnace. Then you can use the cloth to clean up the mess, which is always waiting to be cleaned up. Then the gold can cool down. And we can experience this coolness, can't we, as we work with, as we sit with and struggle in our practice to be with difficult states, as we patiently endure, as we come again and again to sit. However difficult, however challenging it may be, we give it time. We keep our daily practice going, you know. We make the effort as we do this process of refinement, of cleaning, cleansing, purifying. It goes on, and it's often quite slow, and it's often quite imperceptible, but slowly but surely, coolness, relaxing, an easefulness, a little bit more vision, a little bit of a broader view, a little bit more equanimity can come in. So as we develop these qualities, we can see the bigger picture, bigger and bigger picture. Understanding comes to us. Ah, what a relief, you know. So to allow ourselves to really make time, give space, and attend to the defilements, attend to the obstacles. When we sit, they'll always come to the fore for us. You know, if there's anything that's really obscuring the view, then we get to notice that. And so it's interesting, isn't it, how we can feel we had a great meditation if the mind is very still, very calm, very peaceful. But honestly, for me, the great meditation is when I'm having a heck of a time trying to watch just a couple of breaths in a row. That's when I'm having a great meditation, because I'm working then, working with the defilements, working with the hindrances, and just the willingness to stay steady, Take the next breath. Stay still, not get up, not give up, not distract. This is really good practice. And so practice then, of course, is not about the conditions, is it? It's not about what's playing out for us. It's about our willingness to attend, to practice the teachings of the Buddha, to renounce the world, give up all the grief and covetousness for the world, and just sit there and slowly scrub away at the cloth. A little bit of water, and just give it a little bit more of a clean, and so on and so on. And just one day at a time, patiently attending, giving our energy, practicing right effort, allowing the unwholesome to fade away by recognizing, just simply recognizing the kilesa as they arise when they're present. That's all that's required, is just to see them. Because when we see and we're willing to give attention to and feel how it is when the mind is angry, when the mind is fearful, when the mind is anxious, or we're craving something or other, just to feel what that's like is to know dukkha. And when we know dukkha, we understand the dukkha, the mind will naturally let go. The letting go will happen quite naturally. We simply have to be able to discern, to give time, to attend to the kilesa, to the hindrances. So it's amazing, really. That's our job. And, you know, it's something we can be doing not just in our meditation practice, of course. Meditation time, the formal meditation, is the time we can really relax into the practice. And then we can apply the mindfulness in our work with our colleagues. When we have to reprimand somebody, we're present for it. When we have to deal with difficult situations in the world, first and foremost, we're present. We're gauging, we're assessing. Is there anything here? Is there any unwholesome? Is there any unskillful mind state here? What's happening? How is it in the body? And so we can keep assessing the situation within. And in this way, we're making right effort. We're allowing the unwholesome qualities to diminish. And we're not allowing unwholesome qualities to arise. We're nipping them in the bud, you know. This is right effort. And at the same time, you know, we can recognize when there's wholesome qualities in the mind, when we're practicing loving kindness, compassion, when there's generosity happening, when we're experiencing goodness through our actions, through the actions of others, in our speech, when we speak in ways that are beneficial, that are harmonizing, that are kind, and always true, of course, then we can feel wholesome qualities, and we can allow those qualities to manifest. We can allow them to flow. We can allow that contribution into the space around us. And any unwholesome qualities that we don't have, we can recognize. I'm a really jealous person. I don't have mudita. I don't enjoy other people's good fortune. I just want it for myself. I feel a lack. I feel empty and hollow when I see others doing well. It makes me feel like I'm inadequate. Okay, so I can appreciate there's jealousy here, there's envy. There's no mudita. I don't have that quality. So I'm going to bring that quality to mind. I'm going to make a conscious practice of developing mudita, sympathetic joy, delighting in the good fortune of others. I'm going to bring that into my life. And so we can do that. It's really interesting, isn't it, how we can actually develop qualities that we may not have. Many people struggle to practice metta, to practice loving kindness. They hate it. People say, I hate loving kindness. It brings up aversion. It brings up resentment and perhaps past karma around the lack of love, the lack of care, the lack of goodwill that we have experienced. And we can observe that. We can observe that. The beauty of being willing to consider developing loving kindness is that we can do it, and we can see what is obscuring that. We can see what lies in the way of metta. So this is a tremendously helpful practice for us. So any unwholesome qualities that we have, let's bring in the opposites. And any wholesome qualities that we don't yet have, we recognize we've really not developed them, then let's develop them. Take in the Buddha's teachings. Hear what he has to say about what is wholesome and develop those qualities. And we don't have to kind of struggle and fight to develop them. We just have to bring them to mind, consider them. Love, loving kindness. What is that? What does it mean for me? How have I ever experienced that? Maybe not myself. Maybe I've experienced watching other people being kind to each other. Maybe I did experience it once. Maybe I love or have loved a certain animal, a certain lovely, sweet animal. Or if I watch a certain movie, I might feel some sense of love. Whatever and however we can know this quality, learn this quality, and then start to notice, what does it feel like when I feel care? I feel gratitude, or I feel a sense of well-being here. What does it feel like? Can I cultivate this? Can I grow this one? Well, of course we can, if we choose to. If we choose to, we are incredibly powerful. I think Nelson Mandela said that once, didn't he? If only we realized how powerful we are. He realized his power. He realized he had the power to forgive. Extraordinary power, extraordinary ability to let go of past wrongs and to move forward. Absolutely incredible. Somebody who can teach us so much about loving kindness and compassion and forgiveness. We can do these things. And didn't the Buddha say to us, if you really want to follow my teaching, then even if somebody's torturing you to death, then you should have a heart of loving kindness for those people. It's amazing what we're capable of. And it's obviously, when you consider that scenario, what is the best way to relate to such a situation? And we can really know, actually, I don't want to die with a heart full of hatred and fear. I want to die with a heart of loving kindness, just as I want to live with a heart of loving kindness and compassion and forgiveness. So we can know these things, and knowing these things, we can then practice in such a way that we develop the wholesome qualities and we let go of the unwholesome qualities. We practice right effort. And as we practice right effort, we observe the kilesa, we observe the hindrances, we work with them, we patiently endure and really allow ourselves to be conscious of what's going on inside. As we do this, we're developing right effort, we're developing so many good qualities, and we're developing mindfulness. And as we develop these great factors of the Eightfold Path, we can begin to experience peace. We can begin to experience a mind that can focus, that can be still, that can be peaceful. Gradually, we start to recognize these possibilities, and we start to offer not reactivity, not harm and hurt, but love, compassion, and peace into the world. So I think I've said enough, everyone.
Annamayangamakkaya sadhu param namaste. Sadhu, 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 anumodam.
So we have a little bit of time. I'm glad to say, if anybody has any questions, comments, reflections to share, this is a time we can interact with one another. Also for you, if you have anything. Okay, we have a question in the room. No, thank you. Okay, so this is a great question. Our friend here, Anthony, was just asking, I was referring to a sutta, and he wanted to know, it's called Watu Upama Sutta. Watu is cloth, Upama is simile. The simile of the cloth sutta I referred to, and I do recommend having a look at this very beautiful, actually very short, and in some ways very simple sutta. But of course, like all the Buddha's teachings, it's simple, also incredibly profound. It's Majjhima Nikaya, number 7. Thank you. It's on the chat as well for people. Thanks. Yeah, Ananaya.
I want to thank you for bringing up that when we're having difficulty or struggles with meditation, when it's not going easily, that actually is where the meat is. That's where the real value can be, not just when every day you sit there and, oh, well, yeah, do some metta, do this, not to take away from it when it's still practicing, but that it's when there's struggle, when there is something that's wanting to emerge, something wants to be revealed, and that that struggle is the means often to have that happen, to break through and get to a deeper level of understanding. So thank you very much for bringing that point up.
Thank you, Ananaya. Yeah, I do feel it's a kind of consolation, and it's very true to say that, you know, when we are finding it difficult to practice, the kind of dark night of the soul, or the feeling of being in the desert, you know, these are the very times that we're developing in a way that the qualities that will really serve us in the long run. It's like it almost, you know, you can almost turn things around and feel that, you know, when there's suffering, when it's very apparent, it's like, well, yes, now it's really kind of in a way easy to practice because I've got something very challenging to work with. So there's even more of a sense of directing the energy, you know, and yes, I can feel this. I'm aware of this. It can be, in a way, a very good use of our time. And so it kind of turns things around, doesn't it, Ananaya? The easy times, well, yeah, but, you know, I can sort of fall asleep in a sense when things are very smooth and easeful, you know. Richard.
This sutta, the simile of the cloth, is, you were saying it's very simple? but it's actually very, very layered. Starting, it takes a person from complete ignorance all the way through Sotapan, through the other noble attainments, all the way through to Arahatship. And so in the beginning, when he talks about a defiled stained cloth, that's that 16 upakalesas. Those are the things that are defiling your mind. And so he says, if you try to dip it in these different colors, these four different colors are actually the Brahma Viharas. So if you're trying to do the Brahma Viharas while you're still holding on to anger or jealousy or whatever, you know what I mean? It's just, you know, it's going to stand out, you know, nope, that die didn't take, you know what I mean? It's going to look strange and weird and everything. So he says that when you understand that teaching of the Buddha and you abandon those things, right? He says, he acquires complete confidence in the Buddha. So this is where the worldling changes to Sotapan, because these three things, the Buddha, the Dhamma, and the Sangha, those are the complete confidence in those is what the Sotapan gets at the time of becoming a Sotapan. And now, this can be misunderstood in the suttas. When Buddha uses the term abandon, it's not completely gone. It's like a child playing with toys. 1 minute playing with blocks, then sets the blocks aside and everything. But as they age, they may then completely set the blocks aside. So you can understand intellectually that, yes, I shouldn't be upset, I shouldn't be angry, I shouldn't do these things. And you may have temporarily abandoned those things, especially if you attain Sotapan, okay? You can set those things aside temporarily. But it's different from when the Buddha talks about eradication, where you take the palm tree and you burn it completely until there's nothing left, just some burnt ashes, which you can either throw in the wind so they just scatter away, or throw in the river so that they disappear, right? So there's a big difference between abandonment and eradication. So once one has become a Sotapan, he says, he considers, I am possessed of perfect confidence in the Buddha, perfect confidence in the Dharma, perfect confidence in the Sangha, right? He says, thus, the imperfections of the mind, I have in part been given up, See, that's what I'm talking about, the abandonment idea.
Yeah.
Expelled, released, abandoned, and relinquished by me. He gains inspiration in the meaning, inspiration in the Dharma, gladness. And so Buddha says, when gladness arises, eventually you get to concentration, which he describes here. The mind, there's several things in between, but I don't want to take too much time. The mind becomes concentrated. So once one is able to let things go and concentrate the mind, then he can, he or she, it doesn't matter, I'm just using that term, they can live the pure life of a bhikkhu, or even if they're a householder, they can, follow the 8 precepts, things like that, right? And that's why it says, you can eat the alms food, right, without any feeling of regret or like, I'm not good enough and everything. And and those won't be an obstacle for that person. And then at that point, because now you've cleansed the cloth, the mind, right? Now you can start doing the Brahma Viharas, and that's why he goes into that, right? So now you can dip the cloth in and get that pure, beautiful color, that's to be admired. And then once those things are perfected, he says, he understands thus, there is this, there is the inferior, there is the superior, and beyond, there is an escape to the whole field of perception. So there is this world of the physical senses. Buddha says in one of the sutras that when the body is present, we talk about the body, right? Not the spiritual body and not the formless body, which is also called a kaya. Those are the 3 kayas, right? So there is this, right? There is the inferior of the lower heavens, right? There is the superior, that's the formless states, and then the whole field beyond the field of perception, that's the 5th formless state that Buddha discovered on the time of his enlightenment. And Buddha says, if you can attain that state, you'll either become a no-returner, or, if you have some traces of the defilements left, or you become an arahant. So that's why I was saying that if you see the progression in the sutra, they're actually going through from the worldly person, Sotapan, up through the once returner, no returner, and then actually to arahant. And then it says, if you go past the field, when he knows and sees thus, his mind is liberated from the taint of sensual desire, from the taint of being, and from the taint of ignorance. When it's liberated, the knowledge comes, it is liberated, etc. Birth has been destroyed, etc., etc. This is one who's bathed with the inner bathing. So,
Beautiful.
anyway, I just want to bring that point up that sometimes you have to know a lot of suttas, knowledge, to see in depth into a particular sutta, right? So, like you were saying, this seems like a short, simple sutta, but actually, there's so much going on here. It's really profound, really. Anyway, that's
Totally.
my...
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Richard, for giving us the a beautiful summary of that sutta. I really love that. And there's so much that you brought in that I hadn't brought in the talk, and I just love that. And I do think it would be lovely for people to read it as well, and appreciate. Yep, it's, Richard, isn't it? It's like the entire path of practice is in that sutta. And actually, like so many suttas from the Buddha, you could take that one sutta and you could use that as your blueprint for practice for life. How amazing is that? And then there's all these other suttas as well. It's just wonderful. Thank you very much for bringing that in. Really appreciate that. Okay, Quinn.
Hi.
Hi.
I while you were giving the talk, I was thinking about how when evil, unskillful thoughts arise in the mind, I don't know about other practitioners, but I tend to grasp onto it and say, and with I making and my making, like, where did this evil thought come from? It must tell me something about myself. But then when skillful or good thoughts come, there's less identification with it, and so I see how the mind tends toward lower states of mind, like being down, being blue, that kind of thing, because of evil states of mind that I'm grasping onto. So it was interesting how you were saying that you don't have to do very much about them. You just have to bring up kusala or wholesome states of mind, and in that simple action, you're healing yourself.
Yeah, thank you so much for pointing to that, because I'm sure that's true for many of us, that we have this negative bias, don't we? We tend to focus on the unwholesome qualities and identify with them more than we focus on the good qualities. And good qualities, actually, by their nature, maybe they give more, we have more insight around the impersonal nature of goodness, because the truth is, of course, there is no personal, but we can see that more clearly with wholesome qualities. The unwholesome qualities, perhaps they have a kind of, as part of the constellation that they have a grip on the heart, and we tend to, make them more mine and hold on to them more. And it's peculiar, isn't it, really, because it doesn't make much sense, really, but we do tend to judge and blame ourselves for having certain qualities that are unwholesome, adding to the problem, adding to the suffering. And it's really great that you bring that in, because I think it's a common experience. And then also, if we can notice that negative bias, that tendency also to own or to make mine the unwholesome, then we can, through appreciating that, we can see that fading away and just keep letting go of that sense of self there. But to me, the practice is so beautiful because it is a movement really from darkness to light, isn't it, everyone? It's a movement from the unwholesome towards greater wholesome, a greater degree of wholesome states. And it's this beautiful progression. And we don't have to make any problem about the unwholesome. We just want to be aware of it as and when it arises. And then we can kind of roll up our sleeves and, and really attend. And in this way, we can have a lot of faith, a lot of confidence that this is moving us. As Richard said, within this sutta, you can see the progression from the worldly, the ordinary, the caught up in samsara to the stream enterer and beyond, all the way to a person who, or a state of complete freedom from suffering. So how beautiful. Thank you, everyone. It's time now to conclude. So I'd like to simply wish you all well, every blessing for your practice, and big gratitude for your interest and practice of Dhamma. Bye, everybody. Three
Thank you.
bows to Venerable. Very lovely to have you with us tonight. Wat Buddha Som. Thank you.
Thank you, Aya, for your teaching.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye all.
Bye all.